So, how do you think the themes of appetite and ambition influence the play?
That's like the centerpiece of the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing in it. It's the vaulting ambition. That's like the most important theme of the whole, for both of them, really. They're both driven by ambition, but very, very differently.
Which I think is like what's hard to grasp about that is like how far everyone's ambitious, everyone's got dreams and hopes and things they
Yeah,
want,
it's not a bad
right?
thing intrinsically.
When like what drives you to like break the law to get those things? I think that's the really hard part, and I think it's just a brutal world that we live in.
Yeah.
Like, you know, most of us are law-abiding citizens, and in a world of war and witchcraft, that's no longer the case, I think. So your ambition can override things like being a good person, even if you desperately try to be moral.
Well, that's the thing, because he does want to be a good person. He wants to be the loyal subject and the good king and the good husband, the good father. He wants to be all of these things, but I think there is just something in him. There's a hole for both of them. There's this hole in them that they have to fill with something, and that's power. They've chosen ambition as that. But what we were saying is, like, with a lot of the schools, the kids struggle to pinpoint why does Macbeth want to be king so badly, and I think that's so funny because I don't think he knows why. I think he knows he wants to be king. I think he wants to be the master of his own universe and to not have to take orders anymore and to have that status. But he never.
I wish there was a soliloquy about that in a way, so that you could like point to that and be like, "This is why."
Yeah,
but because you don't, so you've got to work it out for yourself.
Well, because once he's there, once he is king, he doesn't have any idea of what he wants to do with it other than kill all of his enemies and secure himself so he can feel secure. But like, it's that whole they have put was it a fruitless crown and a barren scepter in my hand. He's gone so far to get this thing, and then he has it and it's in his hand, and it sucks and it feels empty and it feels like it's nothing.
Completely.
Because he knows that without that heir, without that child, that they've already lost that thing. I think that's the thing, is that's the loss. That's what they're trying to get back, and they can't get it back.
Loss. You can't fill that void with a crown.
No.
You can't fill that void with power.
Yeah.
You can't fill it with a monarchy, with reign, with killing people.
Yeah.
It will always remain.
We made an interesting choice with it when we were doing the rehearsal for that, where we imagined that it was the child holding the knife. We discussed which is where I go with that, is I always imagine that, I always kind of pick the point where it is, and I always imagine that it's the boy holding the knife, and that's where he gets such a strong response. And it's up to you if you think that's the witches playing with his mind or if that's his own head. Because if it's the witches, then you can I think either way, he views it as fate guiding his hand, and this is what he must do now. He has no choice. Because what's that line? The bell invites me. He literally feels like the entire world is setting all this up for him. Yeah, it's drawing him in. The universe is aligned. The stars have aligned. Do you know what I mean?
At the same time, he does feel like the whole world is judging him. Because what does he say about the ground? Hear not my steps. What does he say?
Thou sure and firm set earth, hear not my steps.
And earlier on, he says, "Stars hide your fires."
Yeah.
And he says, "This is against nature."
Yeah.
What's the line about against nature?
What is it? If I dare do all that may become a man, who dares do more is none. Was that more of like a beast, or is that what you mean?
No, I feel like someone says against nature at some point, but I can't remember.
I don't think it's Macbeth, but
maybe it's someone else. But like all of light, there's a lot of language around light and dark in the play. And like things are exposed in the light, and things and bad deeds are hidden by the dark.
Yeah.
Stars hide your fires, let not light see my black and deep desires. So yeah, even though he's being drawn towards it, like every fiber of his being is telling him that this is wrong. This is wrong.
And I think he's aware that he's not in his right mind, because he has that whole bit of him. Art thou fatal vision, sensible the feeling is to say, or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation from the heat oppressed brain? Because he's just come back from war. And
they even say that about the witches. Have we eaten the insane root?
Yeah.
They're constantly questioning their own sanity.
I think he is. I think he knows very well that he's not as mentally stable as he should be. He knows that he's very fragile, and so he's seeing this thing in front of him, and he's wondering, is this actually happening, or have I completely lost my mind? Well, it's like all of Shakespeare's tragic characters. Their fatal flaw isn't necessarily a bad thing until it's taken to the absolute extreme, and that's kind of how it is with it. Because
who was it that said power corrupts? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
I have no idea.
What is that from?
I have no idea. You're much smarter than I am.
No, I think it's probably like Star Wars or something.
It's probably Star Wars.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's a big thing. Like the more you have of this all-powerful thing, the more it just
the more it consumes your
rots
thoughts.
you.
Do you know, it's like there's nothing wrong with a bit of ambition. He's got to this point where he is one of the most powerful people in the country because of his ambition.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't give up in the face of overwhelming odds, because he wins that battle at the start that he shouldn't have won, where he was outnumbered 10-1.
Yeah.
They've gotten to this point because they're ambitious people and they're go-getters, and they've kind of worked their way up. Mm-hmm. But it's when they're trying to, the ambition isn't for anything, it's just for the sake of having. Mm-hmm. By the end, there's no point to it. Do you know what I mean? It's ambition for the sake of ambition. That's what drives them insane.
Yeah.